Texas Sheriff Randy Meeks, or as I like to call him, Sheriff Numbnuts, got pretty mad at police critics and lashed out at them in an adorable way. So Raw Story reports on this. They say, quote, Randy Meeks, the Hunt County Sheriff, published an editorial in the local Herald-Banner citing Bible verses to argue that police officers are tasked with enforcing law and order for a godly nation. So he wrote the article because days earlier, one of his deputies was cleared of beating a pregnant Air Force veteran during a domestic dispute. So, in other words, there was a domestic dispute happening, the police officer shows up, and then somehow ends up beating up a pregnant veteran. Cleared, okay, so not necessarily any wrongdoing here, and to be honest, I don't know the facts of that case, but this guy's so outraged by the fact that we even dared to hear it out in court, that he's like, you have to let cops get away with anything they want to do because of God. If you think I'm exaggerating, let me give you some of his quotes. Here's what he said. Due to recent events, I can no longer be silent concerning what our country allows. It is amazing to me that the criminals who break into our homes and steal from us, those who sell drugs to our children, those who abuse innocent and defenseless children, those who rape our wives and daughters, those who commit cold-blooded murders, are all innocent until proven guilty. Pause. So you're lamenting that America is America. You're lamenting that we believe in due process and the Constitution and rights. You're lamenting innocent until proven guilty, which is a cornerstone of civilized society. So what do you want to do? Get rid of innocent until proven guilty. Whoever the emperor says is guilty, throw him in jail or kill him, behead him, do something like that. That's what you want to do? You want to go back to those days? You know what happened in those days, right? Whoever the people in power disagreed with, whoever rubbed them the wrong way, they would abuse their power and throw them in jail for political reasons, throw them in jail for any reason whatsoever, or execute them for whatever reason. You know, we have dictators still in the world today. You think that their justice systems are good? No, oftentimes what do? They crack down on the press. For fuck's sake, look at Turkey. Turkey's not even a dictatorship on paper, but you have Erdogan like, I don't like the vice reporters, lock them up. So you want to go back to that, not innocent until proven guilty. You say, hey, yeah, whatever the people in power want. What an idiot. He continues. Yet law enforcement officers are found guilty as soon as it appears that the officer has done something wrong, way before the whole incident can be reviewed and the truth obtained. That officer is found guilty and nobody cares what the facts are. This, folks, is a travesty. Pause again. What are you talking about? The incident that you were mad at, which led you to write this piece, the officer's cleared. He's free. He's like, they always find police guilty, and they don't give them a trial. Number one, they do give them trials. Number two, they get off more than other people do. Are you crazy? In fact, the problem is exactly the opposite, because we have an issue today where when a cop does something wrong, we don't have a system set up where there's an independent prosecutor who gathers facts and then goes after that officer who allegedly did something wrong. We have a system set up where that police officer's buddy, the prosecutor, who he normally does business with, who he normally works with, now that guy who knows him and his family, that guy's got to prosecute the guy who he had dinner with a couple times. That's not going to happen. And we've seen it rigged time and time again as a result of that. The problem is the polar opposite of what this guy's saying. He's just making it up. He's like, there is no due process for police officers. We just lock them all up. But we don't. All right, he says, guess where the authority comes from to law enforcement? It comes from God. Read Romans 13:1 in the Bible. And while you're at it, you folks in Ferguson, Baltimore, Arlington, and here, take a gander at Romans 13:2. And then this is what the Bible verses say. First one is, everyone must submit to governing authorities, for all authority comes from God, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. All right, pause. That's the first Bible verse. Now, his argument is, shut up, do whatever the cops want, no matter what. Because God gave them the positions of power. So what happens when a cop, as we've covered stories on the show in the past, what happens when a cop rapes a poor woman who was pulled over for a traffic violation? Come on, listen to the cop. Now, in that case, he would say, come on, that's wild. You can't allow that. But then don't quote this fucking Bible verse. Why would you quote this? It's crazy. People have been placed in position of authority by God. That's what that Bible verse says. So all authority by definition is correct. So when let's say you were, a child in Germany in 1940. Mein Führer, I must listen to you. That's a terrible German accent. Your authority, you must be right. You're saying it, not me. I'm not saying it. You quoted a Bible verse that says, and those in positions of authority have been placed there by God. Authority, by definition, is correct, which means you, by definition, are an authoritarian. And how about this little piece of irony? So you say those in authority are placed there by God. You can't criticize them. You can't criticize them. Okay, so, you get to do whatever the fuck you want as a police officer and fuck everybody's life over. Fine. But then don't you have to listen to President Obama? Oh, now you want to pump your brakes on it. Now this conservative dingbat goes, oh, did I say people in positions of authority you have to listen to? I mean only the ones I pick and choose myself. So then you don't even believe in that dumbass fucking Bible verse. Spare me. You're such an idiot. A guy like this, man, you're just a joke. You're not a deep thinker. You're the kind of person who lives your life based on some fucking ridiculous cherry-picked Bible verses that your mommy taught you when you were sucking on her titty to get milk. And you're like, oh, I have it all figured out because the Bible in this one part says this thing right here. What about the other parts? What about the part where Jesus talks about how rich people are evil and they can't get into heaven no matter what? What about all the parts of the Bible that are pro-immigration? Are you pro-immigration? Do you want to do amnesty and open the borders and treat every immigrant just like they're your neighbor? Is that what you want to do? You don't. You don't. All right, now, let me give you the second Bible verse here. So anyone who rebels against authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and they will be punished. So it's the same theme. And then finally, I'll leave you with this. The sheriff closed his editorial by encouraging law enforcement officers to hang in there and continue doing their jobs to the best of their ability, in spite of the ignorance, quote, ignorance of some people. So this guy does an entire article where he says, all my authority comes from God. If you disagree with me, you're disagreeing with God. And then at the end of it, he says, hang in there, cops. There's a lot of ignorant people out there. Well, you're right. There are a lot of ignorant people out there. It starts with the one in the mirror.